And in fact, let me just grow one point you made. You used the word pipeline. And I think that most people don't think of referral sources, in the pipeline context. So what do I mean by pipeline? Typically, if you're in business development or sales, you will say, "Well, we've got a pipeline of prospects," and they go through the three, four steps before they actually sort of sign the contract. Okay, gee, an initial inquiry, first conversation, a demonstration, or something to taste, to test it, and then proposal, and then either won or lost. So that's an example of a pipeline for a client, a prospect, or even a member if you're a membership organization. But there's also the concept of a pipeline for referral sources. And they need to go through several stages as well. And you've got to manage them and work them to sort of move them up. So at the very beginning, the step number one might be they're a happy client, right? Step number two is a conversation about such and such. Step number three is um, an outreach about such and such. Um, it might be something that's timed, etc. But you've got to move people through that reference pipeline, just like you've got to move people. So at the very end, people are so excited to be your advocate. Okay, they're not just loyal to you, but they're an advocate for you. That it doesn't happen to your point, Rania, as a miracle, right? They've got to be worked. I'll also say that, the question of, okay, so there's that affinity, and gee, I've got a lot of affinity to this brand, so therefore I will speak positively about it. That's a very passive kind of thing. Somebody asks me, yeah, I love my Apple computer and I love my iPad. Fine. But what would change me to somebody who's actually broadcasting that and saying, you know what? Right? And so here's a simple example. Okay, this is a very local example for somebody in business development. If you're actually looking to get referrals from a particular person, and you say, listen, if you hear of anybody that needs whatever it is that we do, in our case, it's delivering retreats, keynotes, coaching of senior execs, etc. Training, please let them know about us. And what are they going to say? Yeah, absolutely, sure can do. And what will they actually do? Nothing, like absolutely nothing. But if somebody happens to say, do you happen to know somebody who does such and such? They'll say, yeah, Braintrust Professional Institute, call Ronnie or Randall. They'll have a good conversation. Oh boy, that's nice when that happens. But um, how can you make it happen? Right? And here's some suggestions. What if you actually went to the person and said, you know what? I've really enjoyed working with you. I'm just wondering if there's anybody that you happen to know that needs to know about the work that we do, the important work that we do. And they will say, well, how about Pat Smith? And what about Jamie Brown? And what about this person? Well, maybe they might come up with a name. But what if you say, you know something? Doesn't sound like anybody comes to mind. I've looked at your LinkedIn profile. Looks like you're connected with so and so and so and so. Would you feel comfortable making doing an introduction for the two of us to that person and to this person? Well, this is where the rubber hits the road. The answer is yes, not a problem. Happy to do so. Okay. Would it be helpful if I sent you a bit of a profile about the kind of stuff we did? Or um, can you tell me a little bit about what is it about them that, and then you get the the conversation getting started so that they're prepped to actually make that introduction in a way that's helpful to you, right? So for example, for many, many years I taught karate, right? And if I went to one of my fellow black belts and said to them, you know something, I'm a keynote speaker, I facilitate leadership retreats, and I do coaching of senior leaders. Is there anybody that you know, and ask them the question for the referral? All they know me as is a black belt karate instructor. They don't know me as an expert in training and leadership and all those other things. So, um, I've got to find a way to actually have that black belt see me in a different context and understand the value. Because only then will that person be able to go to the network and say, you know something, there's somebody I've known for many years. I trust them very, very intimately. And recently found out he's in the business of such and such. And, I think you guys should have a conversation. Always great to have two smart people having a chance to meet, right? This is very different. And so when I talked about the pipeline of what you do, well, guess what? The referral sources need to know everything that you do. It's funny when Ronnie and I show up at a retreat and we're facilitating the retreat, that's what they think. Oh, these people are good doing retreats. Yet on the other hand, if I'm doing a keynote at this big conference, they say, oh, that guy's a great keynoter. But the keynote people might not know that we do retreats. The retreat people might not know that I'm in the Hall of Fame as a, you know, business speaker, right? So the question of prepping the referral sources, they know what they're selling, if you will, and helping them by making some suggestions as to who. The other thing you can do is you can say, well, listen, let me look at their LinkedIn list and I can actually reach out to people directly. So you look and you see, oh boy, so and so is a common connection. So and so knows Bonnie Zink and Jenny DeFoy and Cindy Simpson and all these other people, etc. Why can't I call up Bonnie and say, well, listen, I'm reaching out to so and so. Do you know them? Can you tell me anything about? So anyway, that is a very long answer to what I thought was a very good question. Thank you.